you engage, that would help a lot, okay? Because that's usually what we get with our fourth graders. So, Christine asked me to treat you like fourth graders and give you the same spill I would with them. So if you will, just kind of try to go back to being a fourth grader and maybe you'll see how exciting it is to learn in this atmosphere versus just being in a seat all the time. So, first thing I gotta do is introduce myself. My name is Tina Harding and I work for North Dakota Water Resources. I actually am the project coordinator for the state of North Dakota. I'm also, it's a very long title, but the water education resource manager. So what does that mean? I get to do the fun stuff, all right? So that's what that means. And if you want more information on how to do some of this fun stuff, please come see me after this. So I'm supposed to teach you about an area of land that has rivers and streams and it stores water. What do you guys think that might be?
Watershed.
Good job. How did you know that it was a watershed?
Lucky guess, I guess.
Usually with fourth graders, I have to walk them through it and say, you know those little buildings in our backyards that we put tools in? What do we call those? Sheds. And we call them tool sheds because they store tools. So what would you call an area of land that stores water? A watershed. A watershed. No matter where you live on this earth, even if you lived in the middle of the ocean, you would still live in a watershed. Now, why do you think that we thought it was important enough to bring you together to teach you about your watershed?
So you take care of it.
Say again?
So you can take care of it.
So you can take care of it, that's right. How much time in a day do you use water?
24 hours.
13 minutes and 40
Every nanosecond of your life. Every nanosecond. And by the time you're done with this water festival, you will understand that. How important water is, not only to our watershed, but to our everyday lives. Now, what do you think impacts how much water we have in our watershed?
Cans.
That could be part of it. That's exactly right.
Rain.
What I'm thinking of happens about 4 times a year, lasts about 3 months each, and we just turned. Say seasons, exactly. Can you tell us our 4 seasons, please?
Spring.
Winter, winter, winter.
We only have 2 in North Dakota.
Construction.
But in
Flood,
Moorhead, we
construction,
have 4.
football.
No, right, we have winter, summer, spring, and fall. Now, we just had winter, and now we're in spring. Let me ask you, do you think we had more water, less water, or about the same amount of water in the winter as we did the spring? How many guys think we have more water in the winter than the spring? Raise your hand. Okay, good. How many guys think we have more water in the spring than we do in the winter? Raise your hand. Good. How many guys think it's about even? Absolutely. Well, then I need to ask you this. 2 weeks ago, we had snow on the ground. No, that's water. In what form? Ice, which we call what form? Solid. It's a solid. Now, when water is a solid, can we manipulate it? Absolutely. If you've ever had to shovel a sidewalk, I hate to disappoint you, but all you're doing is shoveling water. Lots and lots of water. Okay? So, if we're able to manipulate it, we're able to shovel it. Matter of fact, it's the only time we have mountains here in the Red River Valley. It's during the winter time when we make those mountains in the Walmart parking lots, right? Okay, so we're able to manipulate it. What happened 2 weeks later? Now, what did the water go from a solid to a liquid? Now, can we control it as much? Not so much. Once it becomes liquid, it goes on its own little merry way, doesn't it? You're not out there shoveling liquid water off your sidewalks, okay? It makes its way. Did you know at one time, in North Dakota, we had over 2 million acres of prairie potholes? Now, prairie potholes is just another way of saying a wetland, a lake, a pond, a river, something that stored water. Today, we have less than 1 million acres. What do you think happened to all that land? And since we have less land, is that possible? Is it possible that's the reason we flood more? Now, 2 weeks ago, when it was a solid, were we flooding? No, but it warmed up. And that water loves water. Water will find a way to find other water, okay? What happened? It turned to a liquid, and where did it end up going?
My basement.
Eventually, exactly. Well, it's gonna end up in the rivers, it's gonna end up in the ditch lines, even down the roads and whatnot. But eventually, if it doesn't have a place to rest, it's gonna back itself up right into your basement. Now, what happened to all that land we used to have to store water? What I'm thinking about is these people, you know, kind of grow stuff. What do we call them? Farmers. Farmers. Do I have any farming families in here? Gotta have one. Come on. All right. Farming family. What do you grow? Cattle. Okay. And what kind of crops would your cattle eat?
Wheat, corn, I don't actually.
Okay. Right. So let me ask you this then. Can you grow corn in the middle of a river?
No.
Can we grow wheat in the middle of a pond? Can we grow barley in the middle of a wetland? No. So if you're a farmer and spring has come and say over 30 acres of your land is now underwater and you need to get seed out, what do you want to do with that water? You want it off of there. That's right. It's out of there. So we move it. We drain it off. Now remember, water needs land to be stored. Okay? And if we're taking it off of farmland and the rivers are already full, where's it going to end up? In your basement. Now, I don't want you to forget that water is the only thing on this earth that can bring us so much joy and so much heartache at the same time. How many of you guys enjoy a nice warm hot shower? Yeah. How many of you guys have lost something to flooding or lost it in the lake? Joy? Not so much. Okay? Just the other day I walked out of the house with white tennis shoes. Right after my nice hot shower, I'm looking springy and everything. Walked outside, stepped on a piece of ice, my foot went through it, my white tennis shoes turned black. All within 15 minutes. So many emotions. So yeah, we have the farmers out there and they're gonna move that water off because 30, 40, 50, 100 acres, that's a lot of money. And if farmers aren't making money, they can't stay in the business. Now, should we be upset with farmers for taking that water off the land and pushing it towards your basement? Water needs land. We've got to store it on land. Well, let me ask you this before you decide. How many of you guys appreciate the fact that you slept under a nice warm roof last night? Raise your hand. That's right. How many of you guys appreciate the fact that we can drive 75 miles an hour on a paved road? Absolutely. How many of you guys appreciate the fact that if your parents will let you, you could go to Walmart at 3 a.m. and buy a candy bar? Every hand goes up on that one, people. All right. So you could buy a candy bar. Wait a minute. Who gives us the product to make that candy bar? Farmers. Who gives us the materials to build the roads? Farmers. Who gives us the materials to build the house that we live in? Farmers. So we really can't be upset with farmers, can we? Because they're just providing the product that we want. Wait a minute. It just dawned on me. How many of you guys live in itty bitty houses, like itty bitty micro houses? Nobody. How many lives in a 2-bedroom or bigger? Does your house take land away from water? How about your driveway? Sidewalk? The road? Yeah, all of that. What about a Walmart? You know, and Walmart paves their parking lot because nobody wants to be trekking through the mud to go into Walmart. So, you know, that's 20 acres right there. Paved land that we can't store water on. So what do we do about this? What can we do? Because water, we have exactly the same amount of water on Earth today as the first day of Earth. And we'll have exactly the same amount of water on Earth the day you leave this Earth. But we don't have the space for it. That's why we flood more often than we ever have in history. It's not because we have more water. We simply don't have the space for it. What are we going to do? What could we do? How many of you guys have seen that abandoned warehouse? You know, it's not even worth any money to fix up. What if we were to knock that down? Recycle those materials? Yeah. What about these empty parking lots? What if we have legislation say, hey, for every 20 acres of parking lot, you gotta make sure we have 20 acres of water storage? Okay? And so this is something that we can do. So we just talked about what is a watershed, what impacts a watershed, which were the seasons, and then the parts of man impacting the watershed. The last part that you need to know before we can go have fun is the parts of a watershed. But for me to do that, I need a volunteer. Come on up.
I was last one here, so.
Oh, this sucker. I mean, yeah. All right, would you mind standing in front of me?
Absolutely.
Brian
Yes,
King,
Brian.
this is Brian, you're gonna have to put your arms out. Now, we ask third graders to do this too. Stretch your legs just a little bit so you're comfortable. Now, if I was to take an aerial photo of what a watershed looked like, it would look a lot like Brian. Matter of fact, if I was to remove Brian's skins and you saw all the vessels, it really looked like a watershed. They won't let me do that. All right, so all watersheds start with what? A head. We call it headwaters. Can everybody say that, please? Headwaters. And the headwaters flows into a main stem. Can we say that?
Main stem.
What did it start with? And flows into the
Main stem.
Then we have smaller rivers that we call tributaries. Can we say that?
Tributaries.
So we have the tributaries that flow into the
Main stem.
that start with the
Headwaters.
and then do tributaries have headwaters? Absolutely. They could be creeks, springs, ditches. So we call those riverlets. Can we say that?
Riverlets.
That flow into the
Tributaries.
that flow into the
Main stem.
that start with
Headwaters.
now. Where two rivers meet, we call that a confluence. And the way I remember that is I think confluence, because I always sneeze when I get the flu. So let's put it together. What are these again?
Riverlets.
That flow into the
Tributaries.
that meet at the that flow into the
Main stem.
that start with.
Headwaters.
Now, where do you think our watershed ends?
Lake.
Well, right. But actually, it's called the mouth. And the way I remember that is I try to keep my foot out of my mouth. Let's put it all together here. What are the little ones?
Rivers.
That flow into the
Tributaries.
that meet at
Confluence.
that flow into the
Main stem.
that start with
Headwaters.
and end at the mouth. Thank you so much. Brian was such a great model that I drew a picture of him right outside the door. So if you will leave everything at the table, stand up and follow me. Right through these doors right here. All right, that's perfect right here. Now, if you'll notice, we'll wait for everybody to kind of right there is perfect. Okay. If you'll notice, I drew a picture of Brian. Looks like it, doesn't it? A little taller, right? A little taller, a little longer arms, but it looks like Brian. So this is a picture of a watershed. Let's go over that one more time. So what does all of our watersheds start with? Headwaters. Could you find the headwaters and stand there? Now, it would be the top of our watershed, and did you know rivers like to tell you which way to go? Water flows downward, right? So the rivers will V, so if that's Ving that way, that would be the end, so the other side would be perfect. Now remember, we said all of the tributaries also have a headwaters. Could you find a headwaters of a tributary and stand there? You, and you, sir? Find the top of a tributary and stand there. Perfect. Can you remind me? Oh, I need one more.
Was I one of the people you?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was looking at the ground.
That's okay. That's what fourth graders do too. All right. So now, what did we call where two rivers meet? What was that called? Confluence. Could you find a confluence and stand there, please? You, and you. Find a confluence and just stand there. Get comfortable. Where two rivers meet. I should have one more person, please. All right. Now, where did we say our watershed ended? At the mouth. Does anybody know where our watershed will ultimately end up? It's a very, very big piece of water that we surf on. Ocean. Could you find the mouth of our watershed? And stand it. Now, the rest of you guys, we're going to become the main stem. So if you will follow me, I need two right here. Please, everybody plays. Right, one there. I need one over there. I need somebody right here. All right, do I have anybody else that's not been? I need somebody right here. All right. So now, guys, we have our headwaters. Raise your hand. All right. We have our tributaries. Tributary headwaters. Raise your hand. Yep. All right. And we have our confluences. Raise your hand. Excellent. And we have our main stem. Raise your hand. And we have the mouth. We raise our hand. What are we missing in our watershed?
Water.
Water. Now, I wasn't born yesterday, so I'm not giving you real water. But I asked you to hold this bucket until I tell you what to do.
Is this the stuff like
I need pictures. Somebody can take some pictures with a camera. I mean, with the phone camera. Without me in it. But these guys. All right. So, what we're going to do is simulate water flowing through a watershed. And earlier we talked about seasons. And we said, do we have fast flowing water or slow flowing water in the spring? Fast flowing. So that would be like a 1 count. Now what about the summer? Is it fast or is it slow? Medium. Yeah, it'd be a little slower. What about the winter? Slow. Very slow. So we're going to start off with winter, and we're going to do a 3 count. And say 1 river, 2 river, 3 river, pass. And when I say pass, if you have a bucket, you take out 1 blue bead. Hence the word. 1 blue bead and pass it down the watershed. And then when I say 1 red river, 2 red river, 3 red river, pass, you can know where you can pass it to. To him, that's right. Now,
You're gonna be tricky.
now where are you?
You only have 2 hands.
Where do you pass to? To him. Where do you pass to? To her. You gotta go down the water. Yeah, to her. All the way down. By the way, I have to give the mouth an ocean. Gotta have an ocean. All right. Okay. Now, if you have a bucket, you're passing 1 at a time. But if you get more than 1 bead in your hand, it's okay to pass it off. All right? Pass the whole bunch. And some of you guys are going to get water from different directions. And then I'm going to say, it's free. And we're going to go to a 1 count. And say, 1 river pass. And then you're going to hear me say, hey, hey. You say, ho, ho. Hey, hey, ho, ho. And that's when we stop. Now, the rules are, if you drop any water on the floor, please just leave it. So should you bend over and pick it up? No. Well, what are you supposed to do? Leave it. All right. Okay. So we're going to pick it up. No, we're going to leave it. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's practice it. Count with me, guys. 1 red river, 2 red river, 3 red river, pass. 1 red river, 2 red river, 3 red river, pass. 1 Red River, 2 Red River, 3 Red River, pass. 1 Red River, 2 Red River, 3 Red River, pass. 1 Red River, 2 Red River, 3 Red River, pass. 1 Red River, 2 Red River, 3 Red River, pass. 1 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 Red River, pass. Hey, hey! Oh my goodness. What is going on here?
Flooded. I'm not coordinated enough.
That's right, we flooded. Why did we flood?
Too fast.
There was so much water coming in at one time. This is exactly what we're experiencing in the Red River right now, is we have a lot of water coming to our waterways at one time. Now, if we have time, we do take the time to ask them what are some solutions. And where did we flood the most? And they'll, of course, identify this guy right here. Big flood. And so we'll ask them, what should we do? And we'll build a dam. So we'll place a bucket on the floor, and they can start putting the beads in the bucket, and then the person that's on the watershed will pick one at a time, slowing the flow down, okay? If we have time, we'll introduce pollution. If pollution comes from this person and one other person, where does it ultimately end up? But for the water festival, within 25 minutes, this usually concludes it. As you're walking in, you're going to be asked to grab a sheet, but before we do that, if you will, pick up the beads, put them back in the bucket, and the bucket's on the table. Thank you.
Oh.
Alright. Here we go. Let's get everybody back to their seats. You guys are good fourth graders. Taking your time. All right. What do we call an area of land? And we're on this side. I know the puzzle on the back is exciting, but we're going to do that later. Let's start with this side. So tell me, what is an area of land framed by a system of rivers and streams called and stores water?
Watershed.
Watershed. By the way, I have put a word bank on the back side, just in case you don't know how to spell. It's okay. What do we call a smaller river that flows into a larger one? Tributaries. How do the seasons impact the amount of water flowing through a watershed? In the summer, we have what kind of flow? Slow flow. But in the spring, very fast. Okay. What other factors influence the amount of water flowing through the watershed? What man-made factors influence the amount of water flowing through a watershed? Buildings, farming, roads, parking lots, all that, okay? And then what do we call where two rivers meet? Confluence. And we usually spell it so C-O-N-F-L-U-E-N-C-E. It's not your word bank, just in case you need it. All right. So at that, it would conclude my presentation. Is there any questions? Has anybody ever heard of Project WET other than Christine or Kim mentioning?